This is an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was. Look, let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this.
What? What is he talking about? He is so confused about his whereabouts and his whatabouts that he has no clue.
We are considering today whether President Trump is good for peace. To discuss, we've got Bob Weiner, former White House Director of Public Affairs and close friend of Joe Biden. Good afternoon, Bob.
Great to be with you, and thank you so much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And also, Carla Sands, US Ambassador to Denmark from 2017 to 2021, and was a member of Donald Trump's Economic Advisory Panel. Carla, hello.
Hey, great to be with you. Thanks so much.
It's good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Carla, meet Bob. Bob, meet Carla. And our fundamental question, Carla, if I could start with you, is whether you believe President Trump is a force for peace.
Well, he certainly is. President Trump is the peace president, and the results are clear. They're obvious. He should have received, I believe, the Nobel Peace Prize in his first administration when he created the historic and groundbreaking Abraham Accords and brought diplomatic relations and trade to multiple Muslim-majority countries and Israel. But now we can see he got a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, between Israel and Hamas, between the DRC and Rwanda, so many other countries. He has Azerbaijan and Armenia, the framework for peace between those two countries. And now he's going to have a historic summit with Vladimir Putin this week and work toward peace between Israel and Ukraine. It's unbelievable, and there is no one else on the planet that could have achieved this moment.
Let's bring in Bob to respond to some of that. Bob, what do you make of it?
Well, Trump is very transactional, and what he's done both in Gaza and Ukraine is so hypocritical. Doonesbury had a cartoon about Netanyahu, bomb, 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 all of it so he can stay in power and avoid jail. That was the lead in the Washington Post Doonesbury column this very Sunday. It is tragic what is going on in Gaza, and Trump has no answer other than to create a resort out of Gaza and allow Israel to just take over Gaza. In Ukraine, what Trump said today in his news conference, I disagree with Zelensky, and I disagree very strongly. How is that a negotiating neutrality to walk into Putin? Which, by the way, he said, I'm going to Alaska to meet with Russia. What? What is he talking about? He is so confused about his whereabouts and his whatabouts that he has no clue. I'll give Trump this, Carla, and I agree with you. He's trying. He is trying to foster peace. He doesn't like the killing, but his biases are so clear that no one takes seriously his neutrality. And when he negotiates, it is based on nothing but his own desires. It has nothing to do with how you can do a land swap. And Zelensky says, I'm not giving up the land. So you don't know what he's doing.
Carla, let me bring you in on that, and just to add something that one of our correspondents said earlier, that when it comes to peacemaking, it tends to be done via threats over trade. And is that a valid technique here? Is it proving to work or not? Have a response to what Bob said as well.
Well, how about if we just look at the facts on the ground? What are we achieving? The end of killing, peaceful relations between nations? Do you really care what the process is? If wars are ending? I'm so proud of what President Trump is doing because he's using every lever that's legal and permissible to achieve peace. We've seen prior presidents, I'll just say Joe Biden, to name one, who was feckless, never picked up the phone to even have a conversation with Vladimir Putin in his entire administration to try to achieve peace. Achieving peace and ending the killing around the world is what President Trump has focused on. He is the peace president. He believes in peace through strength. You cannot have peace around the world when you're the global hegemon if you do not have a strong military and strong diplomacy. He's doing this with his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, his strong military, now fully getting as many young military men and women signed up, where under President Biden, it was at a generational, maybe all-time low recruitment. We now have a robust military. I just saw young midshipmen yesterday starting their training. This is what's happening. It's a renewal of the United States and strength from America.
Just time is against us, so a final comment from you, Bob.
Well, what he's doing, Carla and Callum, thank you so much, is appeasement. And that was tried before World War II, and it worked really well, didn't it?
Not appeasement.
Of course it is. Land swaps and giving up your territory is appeasement. That actually is the definition of appeasement. So Zelensky says no, and that is not a deal. So if Trump's going to sit there with Putin and everything is pro-Russia, Pelosi always said all roads lead to Russia, and Trump only wants the Russian side of this thing, and he doesn't have any use for Zelensky. Trump had to be dragged kicking and screaming both in his first administration, when there were only 1 or 2 votes against sanctions in the House and Senate, and now this time too, when even Lindsey Graham says there've got to be strong sanctions, but it's got to be through including Zelensky in the mix, and Trump refuses to do that because he wants to cave to Russia.
Thank you both very much for engaging this afternoon. It's great to have you on. Bob Weiner, close friend of Joe Biden, and Carla Sands, formerly Trump's US ambassador to Denmark.
You mentioned your upcoming meeting with President Putin. Can
Yeah.
you tell us what you hope to get out of that and whether you'll consider inviting President Zelensky to join?
So you have to understand, this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. It would have never happened. It was the apple of his eye. I got along very well with President Putin. So this is really a feel-out meeting a little bit. And President Putin invited me to get involved. He wants to get involved. I believe he wants to get it over with. Now, I've said that a few times, and I've been disappointed because I'd have like a great call with him, and then missiles would be lobbed into Kiev or some other place, and you'd have 60 people laying on a road dying. The money that's been spent and the death is incredible. It's the worst thing that's happened, by far the worst that's happened since World War II. So I'm going in to speak to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to be telling him, you got to end this war, you got to end it. And he wasn't going to mess with me. This war would have never happened. You know, we had a discussion about it one time, and we never had that discussion again. Would have never happened. So I'm going to go and see the parameters. Now, I may leave and say, good luck, and that'll be the end. I may say this is not going to be settled. I mean, there are those that believe that Putin wanted all of Ukraine. I happen to be one of them, by the way. I think if it weren't for me, he would not be even talking to anybody else right now. But I'm going to meet with him. We're going to see what the parameters are. I'm then going to call up President Zelensky and the European leaders. Right after the meeting, yeah. And I'm going to tell him what kind of a deal. I'm not going to make a deal. It's not up to me to make a deal. I'm going to meet with President Putin, and we're going to see what he has in mind. And if it's a fair deal, I'll reveal it to the European Union leaders and to the NATO leaders, and also to President Zelensky. I think out of respect, I'll call him first, and then I'll call them after. And I may say, lots of luck, keep fighting. Or I may say we can make a deal. Well, we're going to have a meeting with Vladimir Putin, and at the end of that meeting, probably in the first 2 minutes, I'll know exactly whether or not a deal can be made. How will you know that? Because that's what I do. I make deals. I expect to have a meeting with Putin that I think it'll be good, but it might be bad. And I'm here for one reason, to get rid of a war that somebody else started. Should have never happened. And if I could end it, great. Complex war, a lot of bad blood, But Zelensky's been there for 3.5 years. So if you put him in a room, now I will say this, ultimately I'm going to put the two of them in a room. I'll be there or won't be there, and I think it'll get solved.